African Affairs analyst and publisher Inside Watch Africa, Oluwaseyi Adeyemo, is here in the studio with us to take a look at the Somalia situation. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the way it appears at the moment, the president has got a great task on his hands, hasn't he?
Yes, he does. I mean, essentially, let's look at the history of what is going on in Somalia right now. Right from 1991, when the outset of Barre, out of government, the truth of the matter is you've had a situation where also people have gone into the suburbs to set up their own parallel government as well. And as we speak today, when we talk about Al-Shabaab is actually the military arm, or the militant arm of the Islamic government that at some time was holding sway in Somalia. And so the truth of the matter is, if you continue to allow them to have the kind of strength that they have in the suburbs, there's no way you would have the kind of strength you ought to have in the center to be able to have a proper government governing your people.
Now, it's a pitiable situation, really. Yeah. More than 300 people, involved in that unfortunate incident. How do you think that a country like Somalia, with depleted military forces, begin to ensure at least maximum, I beg your pardon, let me not say maximum, but minimum security for citizens?
Now that they've taken the war to the people, there was a president who encouraged the people to stand up and fight. The question is, in what way, in what manner? If, as a government, you're unable to muster the required strength or military capacity to be able to quench a war like this that have been on for several decades, then I don't know how you expect the people. Yes, maybe in some way, if the cries of the people are louder than now, some kind of help will come. But the truth of the matter is, for me, it's a show of failure. Yes, a lot of people have described Somalia as a failed state. All sort of very, very negative description have been placed on the state. And it's unfortunate that if we're not careful, some of the other African countries might want to go in this direction if they're not careful in the way they take decisions at certain things that are happening right now.
Now let's look at the role of regional forces, AMISOM, and the rest of them. From what is going on in Somalia, does it seem like they are on the back foot at the moment?
It's obvious that you see, when you continue to take war into somebody's backyard for a while, and you're unable to sort of play to sincerity and making sure that the problem is solved to the root, I believe that you will continue to have the kind of surge that we're having right now, because it's true, this you have chased them out of Mogadishu, which is the central. They've gone into the suburbs, and they're from there sending all sort of things into the center. And look, they can do it in several ways. They can employ children, they can employ vehicles, they can employ all sorts of ways. As long as the havoc is continually wreaked on the people, it is a failure on the state. And so the point is, how then do you solve a problem like this? By ensuring that you get a total buy-in by the people. Because when you have people having their own splitting government all over the place, you will never ever have peace in a place like that.
Kenya played a leading role in trying to ensure that Al-Shabaab was heavily subdued within the region. Do you think that Kenya is still at the forefront trying to do this?
If you remember very well, there were a couple of strikes and attacks on Kenya as well. Now, when you talk about some of these attacks, you need to understand that they go to hotels. In this year alone, several hotels have been attacked, not just in Kenya. It's also in Somalia itself.
As reprisals.
As reprisals. And so if you're a country like Kenya, that, your GDP is hung on tourism, you're kind of careful the kind of war you want to start going in, particularly when it is a war that is not your war per se. So it's important that we understand the dynamics around this kind of war. Look, the solution lies in ensuring that you get everybody. And that is something we need to do deliberately across Africa. And I'm always very concerned when we take up cases like this. We don't treat them in isolation. We need to make sure that we learn from what is happening in Somalia right now so that we will not have the kind of incident occurring in some of these other countries because of lack of equity in the way we deal with some of these issues. Because if you remember, the initial problem started from a clan thing, my people, my group, my kind of people, and at the end of the day, you will keep having the occurrence of such issues.
All right, of course, African Affairs analyst Oluwaseyi Adeyemo, publisher, Inside Watch Africa. Thank you very much indeed for coming to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.